Hello, hello. I am so excited about today's spot. I have my good friend, international model, Tameka Young. She has worked on countless runways all around the world with name brands like, I don't know, Tommy Hilfiger, Carolina Herrera, just the smaller brands that not a lot of people know about. Just kidding. And she's also worked on New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, as well as Ghana's Fashion Week. I can't wait to talk to her and find out more about all that she's done. And one thing that made it so important for me to have her on today is for her to talk about her non for profit Kidpreneurs. So let's, without further delay, trying to bring in my good friend, Tameka Young. Hi, Tameka. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited about having you on and sharing about your many travels and experience as an international model.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Tell us about how you got your start.
How did I get my start? So I started modeling in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm from Ohio, so I'm from Dayton. And I had always wanted to model, and I actually was recruited at the mall. So there was yep, I was walking the mall, and New View had a booth, and that's the name of the modeling agency. And you always think like, are those scams? Do you really want to do those types of things? And so I just did it. I just said I will take the leap and did it, and I'm so happy that I did. I really had a lot of success working with New View, and um, they groomed me. I did the classes, and I started out, with the photo shoots that I look back at now, and they were bad. so,
Well, you guys
but
start somewhere.
Gotta start somewhere. But it was good though. It was a great experience, and that's actually who I was with when I did the Tommy Hilfiger. I did DSW with them, so that I did my first international modeling job with them. I went to the British Virgin Islands, so yeah, it was great.
You hear so many different things about these different modeling schools. So I'm impressed that your modeling school actually turned out to be legit, that you actually learned things and got opportunities from it. So tell us a little bit more about your school. What exactly did they teach you? What do you think helped led to those opportunities from that school?
So the thing about the modeling schools, I say, is this: they I don't know that they, and especially in somewhere like Ohio, right? There's a nice job market that I can appreciate there now, that I couldn't, when I first started. And I think the schools really do the classes for different reasons. Sometimes it's to keep the lights on, but I mean, just being honest, because there were several schools in the area, and while I think just with other things as well. They try to what's the word? Find that they're looking for talent, but everybody doesn't work out, if that makes sense. So I think there were lots of people that were in my class that did not work out that would probably have said it's a scam. So I mean, it worked out for me. But with modeling in the industry, it's a fickle business. So sometimes you're maybe one season you're what they're looking for, and one season you're not. So,
That's
but
true.
I think it worked out well. Definitely check out reviews. Do a drive by and see if they're really actually there in the building before you pay money, and look at their receipts and see what they have done.
Now, was there any type of classes that they actually taught that you felt really worked for a career in modeling, or was it just like, I mean, you hear about all these different classes where they're teaching runway walking and this, that, the other, or how to walk in heels or different things. But if it's not someone that's actually ever walked runway, how do you know that those skills will actually work when you get the job? And since you've actually done some of these classes, I'm sure not all schools are the same, but did you feel like your teacher and the instructions you got there were accurate and you could really use it for the run? I mean, for all the different runways you've walked on now, do you still use the things you learned from there, or it's not at all? It wasn't even close.
Absolutely. I feel like the classes helped. For example, with runway, not having had that experience prior to, it was a good opportunity for me to get on the runway, learn how to walk. But again, I will say, in some of the classes, it's not if you, some of it is learn you can learn. Some of the skills they can be taught, but sometimes they can't be. So I feel like the classes, um, I they were helpful because the language, the lingo, you learn, and just the different techniques are good. But also in helping get comfortable in being up on the runway. So one class that I took that I don't think was helpful was makeup. They did teach us how to do makeup in the class, but
Okay.
to this day, that's still something because I don't really like to wear it every day. So um,
You
I'm
don't
not
look
so
every
sure
day.
I'm comfortable with it. So
Okay. No, because I remember there was, I won't name names because I think every school is different. Because I've heard people say they had great experiences at some of these modeling schools, and then I've also heard probably way more that didn't, or the different these different tour they're like panels that will come into town where it's one day only. You can meet all these different casting directors and the opportunity to be seen by millions, but you got to pay $500 or sell 40 tickets in order to be considered to even walk in. And the one thing I would notice is that sometimes they weren't. You could tell they were just anybody that could sell the tickets or would buy the class were allowed in, as opposed to with a modeling agency, they're going to only allow in people they know they'll make money off of. Because if they can't get a commission off you, they're not interested in making that relationship. And but at the same time, there isn't that opportunity once you're with an agent or maybe you're working that you get that chance to kind of practice new walks or do new things without the fear or judgment of I could lose a job by doing this. So I always wondered if there was, I mean, if there was ever that opportunity with modeling schools. I really appreciate the fact that you went to one so you can kind of see it from both sides and explain, like, yeah, okay, the makeup class wasn't, and that could have been maybe there wasn't a good makeup artist, but at the same time, I think a lot of parents and even people who are interested in modeling don't really know how to decide whether or not a modeling school is worth getting into, especially if you live somewhere in a smaller market. I think really what other opportunities are there. But if you live somewhere in a bigger market, you might be closer to a scam than getting an education.
yeah, I would think that I agree. And the ones that come to town, the one day only, I mean, they're it's like waving candy in front of the baby. People are looking at that. They want to. I mean, I've done that as well. I've gone
Guilty.
to
They
the
got me
open
once,
call, right? I've gone
and
to
I
the
didn't
open
even
call.
pay the second part. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Nah,
mhm,
yeah,
that was
y'all,
the thing
y'all
though.
got me.
I went, but then I never would pay. So it's like, okay, I'll go to the open call. I want to see what they're talking about, but then when I heard how much they wanted, then I was like,
And I will say, even with not just with going to seminar open calls, but I think just going to open calls in general, sometimes you learn more from the people you're at the open call with than sometimes maybe the actual. If you don't book the job, if you don't have that, take advantage of the opportunity of talking to other people in the industry and networking that way, you're missing the point of the open calls sometimes as well.
very
Just to
true.
throw that in, we brought it up. But so you've done some really cool runway jobs. What would you say was the one that sticks out to you the most? Because I know what for me, I'm like looking at your resume, what what makes me go like this, but what for you was just like an out of body experience, like this is my life. I can't believe I get to do this as a job. What's been like your highlight for modeling for you?
Oh my God. I cannot pick one. I'm actually a part of a model group, and that was like one of the questions that they just recently asked. And I keep thinking about it. I'm like, So different ones for different reasons. Like Tommy Hilfiger. So let me tell you how I got the Tommy Hilfiger job. That was I was in New York at New York Fashion Week, and you know how they used to have that one night where everybody would be out and signing autographs, and I can't think, Fashion's Night Out. That's what it's called. So Fashion's Night Out, and I was just out, just trying to network, meet celebrities. So he had a book signing, and they were having a show. So I stood in line for the book signing. But when I got there to get my book signed, I was like, no offense, I'm not here to get a book signed. Like I want to be in your, I want to be in your show. And
Right.
so I gave him my comp card. So he signed my comp card, and then he was like, "Well, you need to go talk to, the person that's booking the shows." So the show was already booked for New York Fashion Week, but then they were doing a different show that was actually in my area in Kentucky. It was like 3 hours from where I live. And he was like, "Let me see you walk." Like right there, we were in a Macy's, and I walked, and he was like, "Okay, you can do the Macy's show." And I was like, "What?" So, and I said that I got that job with working with New View, but actually I brought that to them because I met them when I was in New York. So, but they wanted to work with me through my agency. So I did it, and a couple other girls from the agency and a couple guys got to do the show.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the tenacity of it all, that you just were like, I don't really want my book signed. I just want to walk in your show. Like,
I was just like, yeah. And I did the same thing with Kimora. Um,
okay.
yeah, I just
Let's talk about that, Kimora. Let's back up. You can't just drop a one name and be like, I did the same thing with. No, no, no. You did more than that, because I just remembered like that whole campaign, because you were part of her skincare brand, right, with Kimora Lee Simmons.
yes,
All
yes.
right, so tell about that story as well, because I feel like it was a lot
It was a lot.
involved with that.
Um, it was a lot, and then it was nothing. So that was like when I thought I had like my first. I was living in North Carolina then, and I thought that was going to be like my big break, and I was so excited. That was actually my introduction to social media. I was following her. That was when she had Life in the Fab Lane, the show, and there was a Twitter contest that she was looking for like a face in the crowd. That's what it was called. And so I just kept saying like, I didn't think I would be chosen. So I waited last minute. And then it was like the contest was over at midnight, and I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I just submitted it. And one day I was sitting around, and I just happened to be looking through my spam mail, and I had gotten a letter an email from their team saying that I had been chosen.
Wait,
And
so there's like
I
this whole meme. I gotta say this because there's like this whole meme about how many of you guys are up till 2 in the morning and check your spam emails for that one golden opportunity. And it really does happen, because I was like, you know what? I guess it never happened. So I started just deleting it automatically. But
yeah,
now I'll have to look through it more.
it
The
was so
spam
random.
email.
Like I don't, but
That's so awesome.
yeah,
Okay,
I did.
sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I did it and flew out there, and it was a great opportunity because it definitely gave me one an opportunity to work with Kimora, and then to meet some other people. That was my experience with working with the virtual with reality shows. So
Okay.
when I saw what came out like after a couple of days of taping, and it was like 2 seconds, because of the edits, or see how things were edited, that was really interesting. And
Now, wait, since you're my first reality person, I do believe, was it any of it scripted, or did they kind of produce what happened, or was it all kind of naturally, organically, just following you guys around?
no, it was not naturally organic. So they
Oh
were.
man. No, I'm kidding. Oh wait, you're not on an NDA, are you? I mean, the Simmons are an expensive family. I don't want to risk it. I can't afford the legal fee. It's
Well, I
just
mean,
saying.
it wasn't that scripted like they said
Okay.
this, but it was more prompted, I would say.
Okay.
It was more
Okay.
of a, so, they would throw out a topic or a discussion, and then we had to kind of talk about it. But, as far as the waiting that went on with, because when I got chosen for it, it was my understanding that I was chosen. But when I got out to LA, I learned that there were like 100 girls in the room that were chosen, and we still had to go through a process. And then I was just like, what am I going to do now? Go back? Like, no, I still have to
Yeah.
stay. So luckily, I did make it to the final cut. But like shortly afterwards, I think is when she started working with the shoe company, and so after that, there was just like it just kind of disappeared. It's like she never went back to the skincare. So
Now, how far along was the skincare process? I mean, was there actual products, or was it all just like empty bottles that you guys were pretending were skincare, or
So
did
there
you
were
actually?
not only were there empty bottles, but the bottles didn't even really have a label on them. So they were like, yeah, hold it like this so that it can be like photoshopped in, kind of, we did not care. I mean, like,
Why would you? Like, it's still, I mean, modeling is modeling. It happens all the time. You're given stuff that's, it'll be something later, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's never going to happen. It's just like, I've never used some of the products that I've advertised, like it happens. That's not what you were paid there to do. It's not a personal endorsement. It's just a modeling job.
right. So yeah,
But
that was.
wow. Any other tea you can drop about that experience? That's so
It was,
fascinating.
what though? It was
Or
really fun, and
mhm,
I think as far as like meeting her and her personality, like that was my first time meeting her. I think that was my first time meeting her,
okay.
and like of course from watching the show, I was it was kind of exactly what I her personality was what I thought,
Okay.
which I thought that was good, because sometimes
Yeah, yeah.
people don't always seem. So she was really personable and down to earth, and so,
I worked at a radio station briefly, and it was nothing more disappointing than meeting a comedian that was like a complete introvert and that you would have to like pull stuff out of them just to get them to talk or communicate. So I appreciate people who are exactly who they represent themselves are or how they represent themselves if they're like that consistently. Because I'm always so nervous when I interview someone that I have not had a conversation with them beforehand
mhm.
and it ends up being that situation again. You're like, come on, how are you so energetic there, but here I'm getting one word answers from you, or you're not really giving me anything to work with. So I'm glad to know exactly how she appeared. But that's still very funny that the skincare wasn't real at all yet. But I wonder if it was just a complete part of the show in the first place that there wasn't actual product yet anyway to
Mm,
advertise.
I don't know. I don't really think it was part of the show. I think that there was, but again, like once she signed with the shoes, like it's not bedazzle. I don't know what they like. There were
Oh, Shoe Dazzle?
was it shoe dazzle that she signed with?
I don't know, but Bedazzle, the only thing I can think of that was remotely close company wise is Shoe
Yeah,
Dazzle.
but it was
I don't know.
something like that. It was some
Okay.
something like that, but it seemed like that took over everything after um, right after the skincare. So I don't know what happened with that, but it didn't work out. But it was fun.
Hey, you got a trip to LA out of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, tell what are some more? Because I mean, done New York Fashion Week, done Paris Fashion Week, and you've also worked in Ghana's Fashion Week. What
Hmm.
was the biggest difference about working internationally compared to working nationally? And how far along were you in your career before you made that first? Well, I know you said with the British Virgin Islands, but to walk like in a big fashion week like those that are internationally known, what was that like? I mean, when you got the call, like start from the beginning. This is every model's dream. Get that call
So
to like,
um, it was amazing. Like London wasn't a fashion week. London, I had a good friend of mine here, Aqua Sam. I worked with her line a lot. She was going over to do a show, and she said, like you should come over to London. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like I wanted to go. So that was kind of like how that experience went, and I was still, over the moon because it's like, okay, yep, now I've done the show with London, kind of check. You
Mhm.
could check that off your list. And then that ended up being a really amazing experience for me because honestly, like all of my international shows have been, I have found that, you know, luckily I've been very well received. So when I get over there, like they treat me great, and the designers, I get to wear a lot of looks because as a model, and especially doing fashion shows when they're a lot, you just never know how you're going to be received, and if you're going to get looks, how you're going to get your pictures. Like, am I coming here for no reason? I mean, that's it. Because people think like once you get your foot in the door, that's it. It's like no, at the last minute, somebody can take you out and you won't have one. So so but I guess with Ghana, that was that was a culture shock, obviously, because I had never been to the continent before. Certainly had never been to Ghana. The models were amazing. I mean, everybody could walk. The designers, it was. I was just in awe of everything, from the the way they practice. Like I had not done a show like that where they practice. Like those girls and the guys had practices every day up until it was time for the show. So much so that I'm like, okay, like we are all professionals here, right? Like
I think you got
the,
it.
but
Okay.
that's how they did it though. So and there were designers from everywhere that had come to participate, and I still keep in contact with them. I still keep in contact with some of the models thanks to social media. So that experience was like no other. And I worked really hard doing that show. Let's see, Paris for me, that was a dream come true. I had done New York, and I just never thought like Milan or Paris would be kind of like on my radar. But again, when I got that callback, and the callbacks come like 2 weeks before the show. So
Wow.
it's like, so you're waiting, 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 hoping to see if you're going to get the call back. And then it's like, okay, am I going to get it? And then it comes through. And then like life is just like, you got to hurry, hurry, hurry. And I know like a lot of people think that it's so glamorous. And for some people it might be, but like, like getting over there, they did not pay for me to fly over there. They did not. And I understand
And with
that.
2 weeks notice,
Yeah,
that's not cheap.
nope. But when you have a dream and when you want to do something, you go for it, because I know it's an opportunity that, I mean, especially with modeling, with the industry being saturated the way it is. I know I'm not Naomi or Tyra, so why would they fly me over there? So, but for them to give me the opportunity, and they still pay me, but it's just like they call you what they pay me in an international model rate, but I did fly myself.
That's interesting. Now, I know you've worked in several different markets. Has there ever been different things that you've noticed in certain markets that you wish would change, or that I'm trying, how do I,
Yes.
or yeah. I mean, because the way we met is we were both working for different modeling agencies, and we were just sharing the different experiences of how heartbreaking it can be sometimes to see how little you'll work compared to maybe your white counterparts, or even those that are racially ambiguous, or that the fact that maybe they don't know where to place you because they're just once you don't fit a certain category anymore, they're just like, I don't know what to do with her until she's either older, younger, or whatever, things change. So anything you know?
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways I could answer that, I guess. One, I think we, for sure, I'm trying to think of the best way to say that.
Like, I'm trying to be as
Yeah, I know.
as possible, but I also think it's something that should be addressed. And since
Absolutely.
you don't live in this market anymore, you're safe. You're, s- you made it. You're free.
But I still try to work in that market, and the same thing happens. It happens everywhere. It's just not there. So I think, and just like what I mentioned, Cincinnati, some of the markets, I don't think it matters where you are. And
Mhm.
with the agencies, they have favorites, and luckily, I've been in a market where I've been the favorite and I've done really well. And I've been in a market where I haven't been the favorite. And I'm just like, I know I should be working. So at the end of the day, I feel like you have to know your brand and push yourself, which is why, because honestly, when I did Paris Fashion Week, when I did London, when I did Ghana, none of those jobs came through me working with an agency. They came through me pushing myself.
Oh, well, no, share more about that because I think more people are starting to realize that they can get jobs themselves. So, how did you go about get booking those jobs?
The
That's
power
amazing.
of social media, just like,
Oh, okay.
and just like what I was saying before, I I would approach people, and one of the shows when I did my very first um, I don't know, my first major show for New York Fashion Week, because New York Fashion Week, just like the same with London and Paris, they have, like, anybody can have a show and have it during that time and say it's New York Fashion Week show. But
Mhm.
like my In the Tents show, I got that from going up there. And I went to someone's show. I went to the designer and I said to her, I want to be in your show. And, that has worked for me a number of times. Um, but it has not worked for me on sometimes too. It doesn't work all the time. I have been put out of castings. I have been asked to be like
Wait,
clothes
wait. I'm
casting.
trying to picture Miss Tameka Young, excuse me, Mrs. Tameka Young, socialite on every board that is worth being on, getting pushed out of anywhere. So wait, how did that work? Like, back up, rewind. What happened? What happened was?
I mean, there are some castings are, especially with the larger designers, are sometimes they're closed, and
Okay.
but a lot of times, especially during like new Fashion Week shows, when you go to castings, especially during Fashion Week, there are like last minute castings, or even if they're practices, they will have the designer's name like on the door, and I just went in.
Did you
I
know?
mean, what could they say? No, I
Look,
mean,
not wedding crashers, but New York Fashion Week crashers. I love it. Talking about the now that could be a fun movie to watch.
yeah, I'm like, I should have a behind the scenes of going to New York Fashion Week. I haven't done that in a long time, just because
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, you like have to hit the pavement, but I feel like, in the long run, it did, work out for me a few times. So
Well, any other tips or tricks that you would give to maybe baby models who are, I'm saying baby models, like new to the industry models. I shouldn't say baby because they're not a baby, but anyone that may be new to modeling who is interested in pursuing modeling and maybe doesn't have an agent yet and could learn from your tips, excuse me, of just breaking down the doors, inviting yourself to the table. I love this. I had no idea you were such a trailblazer, even more so than when I saw. I was like, wow, her agents up in DC finally know how to really get her work. No, Tamika just really knows how to get herself work, and I love that.
yeah, I think that is it. Like, you have to really believe in yourself, and push yourself, and especially now with social media, the way that people are so accessible. Uh, you have to be on your game. Like, if it didn't matter that I was in front of Tommy Hilfiger or Kimora, and if I couldn't walk, that wasn't gonna, so make sure you know that you're ready to play the part. And I had confidence enough and thought that I could. Like, nobody could tell me, if there's one thing I know I can do, is walk on the runway. Like, but yeah, I had somebody said, okay, do these code lines, read these lines for me. That might have been an issue.
That's an issue for me, and I'm a trained professional with that. So, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes cold reads, I feel like I do better than with self taping because I can criticize it too much, as opposed to having that adrenaline of I only get one shot,
Right.
and if I don't get it, then they're not gonna give me a second shot. So that's one thing I will say is kind of difficult for me because I'm such a perfectionist sometimes when it comes to my work that even with watching my shows back sometimes I'm like, if I watch it too many times, I'll never do it anymore. I'll be too
Yeah.
scared of all the mistakes I've made. I'll make them again, or this and the other, or I'll think myself out of it, or just find too many mistakes. Like I can't believe people are seeing my mistakes. So
I'm certainly guilty of that. I mean,
yeah,
you know, modeling is something, like I said,
a lot of
especially
rejection.
that comes pretty, I feel like, natural to me. But like you were just talking about failing, that's one thing with my kidpreneurs, that first attempt in learning, like it's never a failure. It's a lesson learned. So you have to keep going and keep trying. And if you don't get it, maybe it's not for you this time. But that lesson was for you. So take that with you and go on to the next thing.
It is very, so I guess we should transfer over to the second part with it, with your, since you just brought it up as well. Kidpreneurs, what made you decide to start Kidpreneurs?
So I've always loved working with kids. Like it's been for as long as I remember. Like I've mentored kids, worked with the Urban League. I used to help them find jobs. I feel like kids. I see so much in them, and a lot of times they just don't know that it's there. I've had opportunity to work in a classroom and in a classroom setting as a teacher, and I've since learned that was my I wasn't it wasn't a failure for me, but that setting wasn't the right place for me because I like working with people who want to be there. So like these kids, these are their passions, their businesses. And so I'm all for it. I'm like, yes, be 8 years old and be a DJ. Yes, have your own bath bomb business and do public speaking. And like, how could you not want to support that? So I
Right.
have two of my own children. And while they're not entrepreneurs, these are like the same life lessons that I try to teach them and feed into them. And I see them, they're soaking it up, but from afar, kind of. So,
Right. Well, sometimes it's harder to get kids interested into something that they see their parents do, and they're like, "Oh, that's for them, not for me." Sometimes, or like even with my own daughter, she's interested in things that I'm doing, but a lot of times she wants to do it her way. She doesn't want to learn from me. She's like, "Oh no, no, I know how to do it this way." And so I'm like, I'll just watch you do it, and if I can guide you in any way, or I'm like, "Girl, I went to school for this. Are you sure you don't want my?" But then it's
yes.
like they gotta learn on their own too. So
And that's another reason why I did start the National Association for Kidpreneurs. So it helps to support the kids, but it also helps support the parents because as a parent, I know I can tell my child something, and somebody next to me can say the same thing, and they will act like I didn't just say that. So it's like I
it's like
just
first
told you
we use
that,
my
or
language. Yeah.
oh, that just said you told me to do this and it worked. Yep, and I've been telling you that for how long? So I definitely know how that feels, and a lot of the parents where they're trying to help their child run their business, they don't really have time to do a lot of the you know busy work. So yeah.
So, like, what exactly does National Kidpreneurs do? Like, what is the organization about? I know it's to help kids that are entrepreneurs, but what does that look like? What can they expect when they join the organization, or if their kids are interested in the organization, what exactly can they expect from it?
So we classes. I've done one-on-one classes. I've even worked with different organizations like the Boys and Girls Club and homeschool communities and helped. And we've just done development from idea, from concept to completion. So helping with the business plan, helping with your logo, getting your website up, all of those different necessities that the kid business owners need. We do business fairs and pitch contests So
Oh,
it,
fun.
and it's so cute.
I
I'm
can only
sorry.
imagine like baby Shark Tank. I don't know why I keep calling people babies, but so junior Shark Tank.
Yes, and
That's so cool.
yes, because they're so innovative, they're so,
Right.
smart, and another thing in going and traveling and going to different countries, I look back at our kids here in the US and I'm like, come on guys, like we can do better.
Preach. I actually grew up overseas, so it's funny the way that well, with growing up in Europe, the way that America is almost like put on a pedestal, like everything's better in America, education, opportunities, racism, like everything's better there. And then you get here, and like, man, that was all really good marketing. They had the best publicist because I can see now with my own daughter's education, like how big of the gaps are as far as the different things she's missing out on. And even just culturally, I think it's here, it's like they don't want you to be different. They want every student to be the same, to be on the same level, everything. And kids aren't. They're all different. They're all different types of learners, and there's different ways to learn things. And there's so much priority put on tests or different things. And a lot of entrepreneurs are not going to be the kind of people who are going to do great on tests because they're too busy questioning everything or figuring things out or are innovators or so on. They're not going to be the ones that are just going to want to sit and just keep filling out bubble quizzes about the same things over and over again to prove that they understand it. And so I really appreciate the fact that I was able to have that military experience in the sense of getting to see different ways to learn so that when I came to America, I wasn't so quick to just fall right in line. And I think that's important for a lot of kids to kind of learn to question different things to learn more about it. But I love that with your kidpreneurs that you're also encouraging that non-traditional ways that people are taught to pursue the American dream in the sense of you gotta go to college, you gotta go to you can create your business as a kid. You don't have to wait until you're an adult and you're gonna show them all the tools to do that. That's amazing. When you first started, were there any challenges that you had to overcome that maybe other people who are interested in maybe starting their own non-for-profit could learn from or that you would warn people about?
So funny you'd ask because it's still my challenge even today, as I know that my website is not up anymore today. That has been my biggest challenge
Oh,
is
yeah, you were having that issue last night.
oh often. Hmm. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
the
So
technology.
I think we are just going to revamp and move over to a different hosting site. Um,
Okay.
I'm going with the maybe it's them and not me approach on this one. I don't know.
Of course, it's them.
I have
Never user error. Just,
nothing but issues with that.
oh no.
But otherwise, it has been the journey has not been that difficult. The 501(c)(3) application. I think it's so funny because I that was what I really dreaded the most in my mind, and that's really the biggest thing. You know how you approach things, and I thought it was going to be so hard because I'd heard so many things about it. So when I sat down to do it, I said to myself, I'm just going to go one page at a time. I'm just going to take it one page each day. And then the first day, I was like, okay, well, like it wasn't that bad. And then the second day, I was just like, and so then I was like, let me look and see. I finished it in like a couple of hours.
Oh
But
wow.
it took me, even to get to the point to sit down and do it, it took me forever to even like talk myself into it. And so that mental space, when you tell yourself you can't do something or something is going to be hard without even looking first, I hadn't even read through the application. I had just heard from other people that it was going to be difficult. And I do know a lot of people that still feel like it's difficult, but for me, like it was a breeze. So, you know,
And it's one of those questions. Was it a breeze because you were expecting it to be very, very difficult, or was it really just a breeze?
right. So I guess
And
we'll
there's always like,
never.
what's difficult for some may not be difficult for others. Because for me, like filling out forms, that's difficult no matter how easy the questions are. Just because I just don't like doing it. But
And that's another thing, putting off things that, you might not really necessarily like to do.
Mhm.
But, success is on the other
Necessary
side.
evil.
Like, you just
Yep.
have to do it. So,
A necessary evil. Sometimes you just got perseverance. That's the thing I keep hearing over and over again with a lot of the successful people that I've been interviewing later is just being able to outwork, outdo, and show up and actually following up is a big thing because a lot of times that's the difference between getting the job or not getting the job is just showing up sometimes or filling out the paperwork that others deem difficult. So where do you hope Kidpreneurs is going to grow? Like, what is your goal for it? What are you looking forward to as
oh,
it
there are
progresses?
so many goals, and like the sheet is so very long. We're just barely scraping the iceberg, but I have a lot in store. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I'll just say
Oh,
that. Yes.
sounds good. Now I would be a really bad interviewer if I did not bring up the fact that you are currently Mrs. Brightwood, DC, and competing for Miss DC in August. Can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit about what got you into pageants and more importantly, what made you decide to do this pageant?
So honestly, I think part of it, the glitz and the glam of it was the initial, like years ago. This is my thing. Like years ago, I was just looking. I'm like, ooh, like I could do that. Not really having a deep knowledge and understanding of what pageantry is all about or being a title holder is all about. So the space that I'm glad that I didn't do it then, because now that I've been working in the community and actually I have my nonprofit and I understand and have an appreciation for the responsibility that comes along with being a title holder, and the presence and the voice that you have. So all of those things are what led me to do it this year. So, like as we were saying, the National Association for Kidpreneurs is obviously a national organization, and it's a national platform. So last year I did National Kidpreneur Day, and that's kind of like it was I liken it to Small Business Saturday. So I just decided I'm going to have a Kidpreneur Day for the kids. And so I reached out to different organizations or different states, cities, and several cities in different states, and asked to be recognized as a day, November 1st, which is the day I got my 501c3 designation, to be recognized as National Kidpreneur Day. And
Okay.
while I feel like people were they were receptive to it. I've learned that, you know, having celebrity status or have, which is something I feel like you get with being a Mrs. DC, the platform is just a respectable platform. Um, and so I thought that it just made sense to try and to marry the two because of the opportunity to give back and the willingness, and that's what it's all about, for being a pageant a title holder. So
No,
that's
it's
why I decided.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you saw, I had Miss USA Chelsea Christ on, and she made a point of saying that her mom was Mrs. North Carolina. Maybe it's the same family, I'm not exactly sure, but it was, and she was 11 years old, and she just saw as her mom being a title holder that people listened to her, that she was heard, and all those different things, and that was the part that attracted her to it. And I think that's something that a lot of women have that issue of feeling invisible or not heard or not listened to. And so when you have something like a platform as big as being a title holder or pageant winner, people get so caught up on the idea that it's about beauty and looks or swimsuit or beautiful dress. But after that day,
Right.
it's about working with all these different organizations, it's being the face and the voice for communities that maybe wouldn't normally get that attention or possibly be able to uplift it even more that year while you're a title holder just to share all the different things that make that different non-for-profit like your own important. So it really is a bigger organization. I think people think of it as just a 1 hour TV show or well, 1 hour because good for them.
Yeah,
It was like 3 hours or 4 hours.
yeah.
No, it's way more than that, and there's a lot that goes into it. What are some of the things that you think from working not only as a model, but even from maybe doing your modeling classes or just the different careers you've had over your life that have really helped you with being in pageants that
So
you
this is my first pageant. But
oh,
yeah,
okay.
so this is my first one. But as far as the preparation has goes, I've learned so much already, and I thought that a lot of it was, oh, this was going to be a breeze because I feel very comfortable talking to people. I feel very comfortable, on the runway in front of the camera. I'm not really a shy person.
Right.
I but the um, I don't like to talk about myself. So that's something that I learned, and that's why I'm like, I need to ramp this up because I will shine a light on whatever cause that I'm championing, for talk about the kids, talk about, but as far as like my personal self and my personal accomplishments, um, is not really something that I care to do. So that showed me that that's something I need to be stronger in doing. And
Well, you do it when you're in front of, I don't know, what's his, oh gosh, I just blanked out his name. Tommy Hilfiger did it there in the sense of, I need to walk in your show. So I'm just saying the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
exactly.
You
So
don't want to be the best kept secret.
exactly. So but I feel like it's been a good journey for me. It's so far, have an opportunity to meet others and to really learn about the behind the scenes because just like you said, like this is my first pageant experience and well, I claim it as my first. I did one. I forgot. So I did one Miss Ohio when I was in
The same one Miss Halle Berry won.
right. So, but let me tell you, I read in the newspaper, I paid my money, and then I showed up on the day of, and I was just like, I had bought a dress, I bought an interview suit, but I did not have hair and makeup together. I did not have a platform. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I say because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, I can walk, I can answer
Uh,
questions.
so how did that go? Like, how far did you go with it? Like, how,
Honestly, I made the top 15. I think there were
okay,
about 40 of us there. And so I really thought I was onto something because I made like the top 15 and I thought that was good.
correct.
But
Yeah.
I didn't make it past that.
So what are you do? What have you learned from that experience that you're doing differently with this one? Like, what are you definitely like? Okay, I need to make sure I practice this, I do this, or it's just like
So
I'm a wing it again.
certainly hair and makeup are good. You
Okay.
definitely want to make sure you have that. You want to, really, let me see that I can put into words. I that was even before I really started modeling too. So as far as like walking on a runway, I've always kind of been pretty
Because there's a completely different from pageant walk and
yes.
runway walk. Like it's completely different. There's
Yep.
nothing in common, I would say.
Yes.
Except for you're both wearing heels, but they're not even the same kind of heels.
No,
Yeah.
no, they're not the
I
same.
still have my clear heel. I do. My daughter calls them her Cinderella shoes.
That's
I'm
one
like,
thing for them. That's one thing you can call
I'm like, yep, that's one word for them.
right. Exactly. I think that the biggest lesson is, you know, to from the outside looking in, you feel
Mhm.
like you can go in and just do something. And I think we all do that. Like a lot of times people feel like that way about modeling or I know I look at things even from a mechanic to my car. Like I feel like I can work on cars. I feel like I can do anything that can be done except my website. But like
Sister,
but
as
you
someone who
have to
built
have
their own website,
an
it's
appreciation and a
mm.
respect for someone else's craft and actually learn it before you just feel like you can walk in and do it. So I think that's what I can say about pageantry. It's
And they
definitely
make it look
oh
easy
my
because
god, It
you
looks
know, they're only doing it for a couple of hours, but you don't see the hours they spent beforehand, rehearsals and interviewing to get to that point. Because I don't know if it's the same for Miss Ohio, but I had several interviews before we even got on stage,
yes,
and so yeah, it's a lot, a
it's a
lot,
lot. It's a lot, and I mean,
and it's fun. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun though.
yeah.
That whole
So
sisterhood.
and then for I mean, there are people that do pageantry, like that's what they do. So for me, walking in, just feeling like I was getting ready to just yeah. So I can say that now I have definitely taken the appropriate steps to be more successful this time around.
Well, I'm excited for you. I cannot wait to find out how it goes. I'm sure you're going to win. Sorry for whoever decided to go this year. You picked the wrong year to go against an international model. Just
Thank
saying. It
you.
was, I mean, you may not be that good about talking about yourself, but your resume speaks for itself. So you don't even have to worry about verbalizing too much. But I'm sure you have a lot to speak about. Now, I know you, from us being friends, I already know that you were homeschooling, but you weren't homeschooling before Corona, or were you? I
No,
can't remember now. You weren't.
I wasn't homeschooling. No, but I've always supplemented.
Okay.
So I've always done some supplementary work with the boys, and even Corona, I've really tried to impress upon people how this is not homeschooling. Like this is not a realistic. When people think homeschooling, I mean, and it looks different for different people, which I
Right.
love about it. But this is not the type of homeschooling that homeschoolers are even are even used to.
It's,
So
yeah, different. It's different.
yeah, it's just this whole situation is just a different type of animal. But
Yeah. So how are you balancing all of that? That's what I was going to ask because I was curious. Since you do have your non-for-profit, you're also running for Mrs. DC and all the other career stuff that comes with being a model. Because it's being an entrepreneur is, I would say, being a model or being in the entertainment industry, it's like you're being your own entrepreneur. You're a business of yourself because the hours never stop. You're constantly finding new emails or replying to emails or whatever. But needless to say, how are you handling all of that?
well, I would say a day at a time because like you, I am very critical of myself as well. So I'm looking back like, oh, it's been 7 weeks already. Like, have I done all that I could do? And so just trying not to put that stress on myself and as well as on the boys because I have high expectations for them. And so um, we're just really trying to take it a day at a time. I have told them, we do need to set goals just because I feel like that's important.
Right.
What I don't want is to be 8, 10, 15 weeks into this and not to have anything to show for it. And I think if somebody else, if that's their situation, then that's okay. That's not what I want for me.
Right.
So I was I have a lot that I'm doing. I'm still trying to make those connections and check off some things on my list that I have for my Kidpreneurs, my website. Gearing up to do a pitch contest, trying to get online classes done. So I don't have a lot of downtime,
Yeah.
which is fine with me, which is okay. So just and listening to my own self. So like this morning I got up and I was like, well, I need to get on the bike. And a lot of me, I'm led by the weather. I'm a warm weather person. I love when it's warm outside. So when it was nicer outside, I felt like I was getting more done. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's gotten colder again, and it is a struggle. So
The sun is a liar this week, or at least today. I went outside for a minute. I was like, oh, no, I did not sign up for cold weather today. I thought it was warm weather day.
yeah,
So, yeah, we're not, I canceled canceled all outdoor activities for the day. Like, never mind. We'll have a hula hoop contest inside the house instead.
Yeah, and
So,
I've been even, with volunteering, like to
mhm,
help the boys as far as getting out and trying to manage, some sanity. But
mhm.
even though I've been very strict about social distancing, so
Yes.
for our local council member, and I partner up with another company here, and Associates, we have been delivering masks and gloves,
Very
and
nice.
doing food deliveries for the seniors. And so what I'll do, they give you the box and you put the box in my car and we're all mask and glove and then we just take it to the door. So we don't really have a lot of contact with people,
Okay.
but it still, gives the boys a chance to get out. So, and it's really cute for them. They have their list we have to call. And so one of them is the navigator. I'm like, you put the directions in. The other one is the runner. He goes to the door. And
Oh,
so they
fun.
feel like they're actually doing something. I mean, well, they are. They're doing something.
Right. And they're helping.
Yes. We've been doing a lot of home ec. So the
Okay.
French toast, I've been getting good French toast. I don't know. I'm trying not to gain that quarantine 15, 19.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I got on the scale today for the first time since this, and I was like, "Oh yeah, back on the elliptical I go." I mean, it was only like a few pounds, but needless to say, it was like my goal was to be in better shape
yeah.
as opposed to the opposite. So I was like, "Whoa, I've had way too many weekends with Oreos.
Yeah.
Time to go back to clean living."
Well, I have to just be careful because I don't have the appetite that they have. When you have
Okay.
two boys and they eat they eat more than me. But I can't eat every time you cook, son. Like,
Mhm.
so it's nothing personal, but and one is trying to carb load because he wants to be bigger, and
Uh-uh.
so, but
Now wait, how old are your boys now?
11 and
You know about carb loading? Okay, what?
they play basketball. 11 and 13.
Okay. I was like, wow, that's young to know about carb loading because I think I didn't know about it until I started doing I was I worked out at Gold's Gym and was doing like these different fitness competitions. Or at least I thought I was gonna do fitness competitions and so they started training me about carb loading and yeah, I wasn't cut out for it.
YouTube. You
Yeah,
That's
yeah, working out works out fine, but fitness pageant life wasn't for me. I didn't even apply. Once I saw it in real life, I was like, oh, yeah, this isn't exactly what I thought. I don't really want to be wearing just that in front of all those people. Like, wait a minute.
yeah.
I was like, I was totally in on learning some. I always wanted to take gymnastics, so I knew like some bare gymnastics stuff from also being a cheerleader and so on, but I didn't know all the fun tumbling things. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to do tumbling, and I love dancing. I actually could have majored in dancing. I took so many dance classes, but that would have required like I think one more semester of school, and I was like, yeah, that's all right. It's not that big of a deal. But so, but yeah, I sometimes going after your dreams, you learn your limitations. And I was like, I am not doing all of that in that little of clothing. Yeah, I'm good. I'll just enjoy working out. But I'm impressed. That's really cool. So I want to make sure that everyone, it's almost 3 o'clock, time flies fast. I keep checking the clock and still it goes like that.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure everybody knows where to follow you at, and while you're telling that, and make sure there's any shout outs I need to give you as well. Oh, okay.
So my Instagram for modeling is passion the number 4 runway, and the Instagram for kidpreneurs is at kidpreneurscentral.com or kidpreneur spotlight at kidpreneur spotlight. So
Oh no. Well, just follow her page and then look in her follows
yes,
for Kidpreneur and you'll figure out.
there you
I'll I'll actually link it, but just in case they beat you to it, because people are fast. So your good friend T Wright is here, and she wanted to make sure to tell you that my friend is so amazing. That's a great point. Know your brand and push yourself. thanks for clarifying. I think that was when you were explaining how you got your jobs, like it wasn't through your agent. So thanks for clarifying that in the sense of going for your own jobs. You can do it. Um, they are so super nice. That part I don't remember when she said that, but I'm sure it's about your children or you. We'll just go ahead and make that assumption because
Mhm.
it's true. And then James Lincoln is saying that this is a great topic. Thank you for that, James. And yeah. Oh, and she also says you managed to be a great
Aw,
friend.
thanks. She's a very good friend.
Yeah. So it's 3 o'clock. Is there anything else that you want to mention before closing out?
No, I don't think so. Definitely, like you said, please follow, and I will share information about the pageant. I will share about everything, all things kidpreneur. So definitely, if you know any kids that have their business, have their own business, or aspire to own their own business, or if you want to support kidpreneurs, please definitely reach out.
Fantastic. Thank you again so much, Tamika. It was so nice having you on, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.
Thank
I will
you.
talk to you
Thanks for
again
having me.
soon. Oh, it was my pleasure. Bye. All right, guys. I hope you were taking notes because she had so much great information about how you can get jobs for yourself as far as what she went out there and got her own modeling job when it came to getting on Tommy Hilfiger's runway. Like, who knew? So go out there, get that job. Don't let anybody else stop you. Don't feel like because you don't have an agent or maybe because you feel like maybe you're limited by your market that you can't get it done. I mean, when I say go out there, I don't mean literally go out there, like go to social media and put yourself out there on there. Now, don't forget, tonight at 6 o'clock, I will have Sydney and Ami as my guests. I cannot wait. They're so adorable. They're two sisters that have started their own talk show on Instagram, which I think they have one at 5 o'clock. So you can catch them in action then. And this chair right here will be full with my beautiful 11-year-old who is going to be my co host with me this afternoon or this evening. So look forward to seeing you guys then at 6 o'clock, right back here on the E Spot with Camille. Thanks again for being my guest. And thanks again to Tamika for being an amazing guest. But thank you guys for being my viewers and watching. And please like, share, and let others know about the E Spot because it can't be the best kept secret either. Thank you.